Recently, I uploaded a video reviewing my Redwing 875s, reporting on how I had worn them over the last 3 years and how they now felt. So I thought I'd do the same thing with the other most popular Redwing boot, the Iron Ranger. But this time I give you two for the price of one. How you going? My name is Tech and welcome back to Bootlosophy. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands I film on, the Whadjuk people. So here are my two pairs of Iron Rangers. You might identify the brown one as the 8111, the amber harness Iron Ranger. And you might think this black one is the 8084, the black harness version. Well, actually, it is also an 8111. But I dyed it black. You can see my original review of it up here, where I talk about getting them from an Australian manufacturer of leather care products, and where they'd used it as a demo model in their fairs and shows, using it to demonstrate how to put on and use their boot oils and leather conditioners. The long and short of it was that it was absolutely soaked in oil, so much so that the amber harness leather was sticky to the touch, despite huge amounts of cleaning and sudsing. But I've always wanted an amber harness Iron Ranger, so when another one came up on eBay, I bought it and decided to dye this first one black. I've left a link in the description area below to the video where I cleaned and dyed it black, and in fact it's turned out to be a great success because the dye actually sealed in some of the oils so that the surface is now more like normal leather than an oil-soaked rag. So now I have two pairs of Iron Rangers. One, the black dyed one, which I use as a general work boot because it's so comfortable, and the more recent one as a dude boot for informal casual wear. So much has been written about the Iron Ranger, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the style and construction. I'll just remind you of a few points. The maker, Redwing Shoes, founded in 1905, is an immensely beloved American brand, still making their heritage boots in their Redwing, Minnesota factory. It's still privately owned, having changed hands a few times since it was founded by Charles Bachman. Today, despite private ownership, it's not a small company. And in 2023, it turned over an annual revenue of $370 million US, employing over 1,500 workers. The Iron Ranger itself is a work boot style harking back to pre-war boots worn by iron miners of the Mesa Iron Range in Minnesota. This Iron Ranger is not the original work boot though. In fact, it was actually resurrected from pre-war designs in the early 2000s because of the booming interest in American workwear in Japan. You can call it a service boot. There probably wasn't much of a difference in those days, in the 30s and 40s. But today, its chunkier style is more work boot than the sleeker versions of service boots that you get made by Thursday, Viberg and Grantstone or Parkhurst. Often called clown shoes by my viewers, I personally think it has a chunky appeal in that unapologetically rounded real toe cap. As opposed to most newer cap-toe boots, the Iron Ranger boasts a real piece of extra leather stitched over a full vamp. Construction-wise, it's Goodyear welted, meaning it has that strip of leather stitched around the edge of the boot. The inside stitched to the insole and turned in uppers, and the outside stitched through the outsole. An interesting thing about the construction is that the Iron Ranger does not have a midsole. The insole is stitched to the welt, and the cavity that's caused by that welt going around is filled with a cork filler. And then a full slip rubber outsole is glued and stitched on. The lack of a midsole makes this a lighter and flexible boot, but these older model Iron Rangers have the original cork and rubber outsoles. But don't be fooled, that itself is about 9 millimeters thick under the welt and sort of makes up for the lack of a midsole. Newer models, since I think 2018, they have a Vibram mini lug rubber sole because people complained that this flat outsole didn't have any grip. Ironically, since they changed, people now complain that the mini lug sole is uncomfortable and they prefer the old cork soles. Testament to my opinion that, especially with social media these days, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, whether the complaint is real or not. Personally, I wanted the old flat sole, so that's why I bought this version on eBay, finding both of them there. Another odd thing about the construction is that, as with most heritage boots, the shaft is unlined, but the vamp itself is lined, not with a glove leather, but with a sort of canvas material. I guess it does wick sweat, but I find it weird using a lining material as canvas, and it does tend to chafe if you're not careful. The boot is built to last, which I'll go into next, but the lining material will not. Up top, this is really durable leather. The brown harness leather from SB Foot is called amber harness because it has hints of a little ginger in it rather than just a plain mid-brown. In 1986, Red Wing, based in Red Wing, Minnesota, as I said, bought the 150-year-old SB Foot Tanning, which is also situated in Red Wing. Now this is clever business because now Red Wing owns the tannery that has supplied it with leathers since forever. And so it secured itself the harness and Oro Legacy type leathers, oil tan leathers that it always used. With wear, it becomes soft and supple and retains an oily feel, so it doesn't need a lot of care. The stitching is brutally industrial but totally secure. They use double and triple and quadruple stitching everywhere, clean, consistent, but obviously put together in an industrial manner with no hint of handmade craftsmanship. This is not criticism, I think it's one of Red Wing's strengths in fact. The hardware is shiny nickel, and you can easily identify an Iron Ranger in movies and TV programs, Hallmark Christmas movies, because of the shininess of the nickel hardware and the chunky toe cap. Before I go on to talk about how I've worn these two pairs and how they feel now, don't forget to click on like and subscribe and check out the links I put in the description area below. You can also watch me review this second pair and watch me work in the original pair by clicking on the link up here, which will link below so that you can check it out after you're done here. I use these two pairs quite differently. I use the original pair, now dyed black, as an occasional work boot, mainly in some light carpentry and tiling type, plastering type of work. I help my wife in her investment properties by doing repairs and remodeling every now and then. The flat outsole isn't great out in the yard or in the garden, but indoors, it's a great non-safety builder's boot because it does protect you from silly accidents like dropping timber on your toes. And it's nicely flexible so you can comfortably kneel and work around on your hands and knees. The black dye hasn't T-cored much, as a little bit. And I really don't expect it too much because I think it's soaked into the well-oiled leather, which had already opened the fibers up a bit. The other one, still amber harness, I wear as a dude boot, casually to go out with friends or to the bar and pub. It's not in any way capable of being dressed up, so I wear it with jeans like these slightly looser fitting Gustin jeans that I've linked to below. I think they're destined to be worn with jeans and t-shirts, to be honest. I try to keep them clean, as you can see, but the black one has some red sawdust on it that sticks around, I think because of the high oil content it had from the leather care products. The way I look at them after these last 3 years is a balance of mostly pros and some cons. They are durable and tough, and so I'm confident wearing the one pair as work boots. The still amber harness pair is showing a beautiful patina, I think. More dude-worthy than work boot-worthy, but I'll take it. They have a classic look that I think suits today's workwear styles, and to some degree doesn't go out of style in jeans and t-shirts. I'm told they have a difficult break-in, but both of these being used when I got them, I have to admit I really can't say. Comfort now though is great. The sole has broken in nicely, the uppers are soft and supple, and I feel I can stand around in them all day. As for price, they're now $350 USD or about $5.95 Aussie when you buy them in Australia, so not cheap. But they are famously resolable because of the Goodyear welt construction, so you should get plenty of life from them for your dollars. Above all though, they are a boot collector's icon, so if you have a boot collection, you need a pair of these. In summary, I'd say that if you like heritage boots, these have to be in your collection. At least once you've got to maybe 5 or 6 pairs of boots, and even if you stick at that number and don't go any higher. They are iconic, they are classic, and unless you hate the clown shoe look, supposedly, I think they're very versatile and casual wear. Hollywood actors seem to think so. If you wear your boots hard, they won't get you into a work-safe work site, but I think you can rest assured you can do manual labor in them. As a first boot, the break-in may shock you, I'm told, and the price is not the cheapest, but they do become very comfortable and they'll last you a crap load longer than a pair of Timberland boots. So, there you go. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please show me your appreciation by leaving a comment down below, click on like, and make sure you subscribe. I'll have a few more reviews come out this year before Christmas, then I'll take a short break, and in the new year I'm going to bring you a whole load of interesting boots in review, as well as some different videos about comparisons of boot styles and brands, and there's going to be a vlog about my travel to Auckland in New Zealand and what boots I wear. So don't miss out, subscribe and click on the notification bell. Until then, you take care out there, and I'll see you again soon.